Hey guys, it's Germain Lussier, and I'm here with
Russ Fischer.
We're at the Directors Guild here in Hollywood, and we just saw a presentation about Inside Out, Pete Docter's 2015 Pixar film, the next Pixar film, since 2014 doesn't have one. And they showed us the first 5 minutes, which nobody had seen yet. We saw a bunch of different story things, and then we saw the short that'll be in front of it called Lava, which is also really great. Yeah, this is a movie we've heard about for a long time, right?
Yeah.
But now, and now it's a year away. Pete Docter says he's 50% done with it.
Right.
And,
And it's,
what would you think?
I mean,
about
it's this thing that's been described as taking place inside the mind of a teenage girl, or in the case, it's actually like an 11, 12-year-old girl. And the mind versus brain thing is very important because this isn't like a weird Fantastic Voyage thing where there's like you're in a ship and you're going through the biology of a person. It's more that you're going through. The main characters are this girl's emotions, specifically joy and sadness. There are 5 emotions: joy, sadness, anger, disgust, and fear. And it's you kind of get into a situation where joy and sadness are ejected out of the mind, or ejected out of the control center of the mind.
Yes, and so
leaving disgust, fear,
and anger as the only emotions that are running a 12-year-old girl, and which sort of makes sense. And so, so I mean, the whole thing is that the movie takes place, like I said, it's mind versus brain. Now, when I first heard about the movie, you sort of thought it was going to go through all these like blood vessels and stuff, but it's much more abstract.
Yeah,
it's
kind of an imagined landscape.
Yeah, imagined landscape, and that's one of the things we heard too. Is that like on this journey, while on the outside, the girl whose name is Riley is dealing with life with anger, disgust, and fear running her life. Her joy and sadness are on an emotional journey, are on a journey, like literal journey through her mind, through all these different worlds. Like you're talking about things that that we have as abstract feelings, like our imagination. That's a place in the mind.
Right.
And
dreams are created in a movie studio.
Yeah, the train of thought is an actual train.
Yeah.
And these are all things that the movie is going to explore while joy and sadness are on the journey.
It's almost, if you imagine sort of an Epcot Center type theme park where you've got one central control center that looks out over all of these attached and lands and separate areas. So you've got you've got sort of the deep subconscious under everything. You've got the dream center over here. You've got these little islands of personality that make up all the different things that this person is. And the film wants to kind of take us through a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite things that I learned today about the movie we didn't know, is that we had seen a little bit about the memories. Memories are stored as these balls that sort of roll, and then they have short-term memory, and every night when you sleep they move into long-term memory. But what he taught us about today is that there's these core memories, like the things that you really remember that really set who you are as a person, and they sort of power these lands of personality, I think he called it. I don't remember exactly what it's called.
Personality islands.
Yeah, and so like she scores a goal, and that becomes a core thing, and now she's a sports fan.
Yeah.
And
a player.
And like it was this really great thing, and those sort of start going away once joy and sadness aren't there to do it. And it's just it seemed like there was a lot of it's funny to say there's a lot of emotion, and there are literal emotions.
Yeah.
But it was it seemed like the idea is just so incredibly like difficult to understand almost, but in a really sweet, endearing way.
And it's also the characters, the emotion characters, are extraordinarily well designed. So they are, you know, a couple of them you'll know what they are the first time you see them. I mean, Anger is this little squat red dude that almost looks like what Carl from Up.
Yeah.
You know, but like red and cartoonish.
Looks
and
like Super Meat Boy from the video game.
Yeah. He's voiced by Lewis Black. And you see these characters, and immediately you know what they are, or certainly as soon as they start talking and interacting, they're very recognizable. It's almost if you're familiar. I asked Pete Docter about this. If you've ever read Neil Gaiman's Sandman comics, if you took the idea of the endless in Sandman, these personifications of different aspects of humanity, and turned it into a family-friendly animated thing that's kind of that gets across the idea of what's going on here.
They were saying they're almost trying to do the new Seven Dwarves almost, where it's grumpy and sleepy, and they're just these core. That's what they are, and that's what these people are.
Yeah.
The emotions, which are not fresh from blood. They're made out of energy particles. And Doctor was telling us, like, you sort of get it in this early footage, but once you see the movie in 3D, they created like a body and then put little dots,
sort of filled them in with
particles, and they'll all be 3-dimensional, so you'll be able to sort of like see through. It sounded insanely big and difficult.
Yeah. But the core idea is really that they are almost trying to do this sort of very approachable model of human behavior by saying, here are these basic emotions that control what we do, and the way in which they interact with each other and the way that they take control over situations and things like that determines how we respond to things. And it sounds heady, and it is. Yeah. But from what we've seen, which is obviously very little, but from what we've seen, they seem to have very skillfully really captured the essence of this stuff, and it looks like it might really work as a story and as a set of characters.
I think so, yeah. One of the things I took out of this presentation was the idea of Docter, and in this movie they wanted to take things that we're all familiar with, train of thought or whatever, and make them into things that we've never seen before. Right. You know, the idea of an imagination being a land, or the idea of your emotions being people inside your brain, and that's just a very different, out of the box, but relatable Pixar way of doing things. And I mean, I think this. I mean, it's so hard to say what it could be this early, but like, I mean, it looks like it could be right up there with the Pixar.
Yeah,
the best.
I mean, they're a year out. They're halfway done with animation. They're halfway done with with really finalizing.
They just hired a sound guy last month. They said so. Like that's how we.
Fincher's Fincher's sound designer, and but I mean, the stuff that they've got looks terrific. It really works, and it's. I think as soon as people see any footage from this, it's going to be like, oh, I totally get it.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's all that it'll take.
Right. Yeah, so we'll have more here and in the article, and we'll talk about the short as well.
Yep.
I'm Germain Lussier.
Russ Fischer.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.